Good morning, everybody. Today we are looking at another crawler tire from BRKRC, Super BRKRC, I believe it is. And I don't remember the name of this tire, other than probably just Rocks Tire or something like that. It'll be in the description below, but it's kind of just a generic tire. Lug pattern is based off of, looks very similar to a J Concepts landmine. And the size of the tire is very similar to a Pitbull Rock Beast XOR. So it's that 4.5 inch tall, 1.9 inch wide, super wide tire. Just with a different lug design. On to the first obstacle on the side hill. And we will see how the Super BRKRC do. Ooh, side slide galore coming on. We do have CI foams installed. Softs up front and mediums in rear. And we have another tire from this brand that we have run, which was kind of a copy of a crawler, like a BF Goodrich crawler, and it actually did pretty good for a $20 set of tires. These are about that same price range. I think they were $25 for the set of 4, so not too bad on the price. But of course, it's a waste of money if they don't perform. Coming on the side hill, we were able to take the lower line, and we are getting a good pivot. I saw a decent amount of side slip at first, but actually now not looking too bad. I turned up a little bit early to avoid this line in the crack right there. Still kind of hit the line, but not fully. But so far on the side hill, we gotta come up with a name for these. They're kind of a landmine tread, Pitbull XOR sized. Rock Beast XOR. Let's call them the Land Rocks. So, how are the Land Rocks doing on the side hill? Sorry guys, I'm pretty distracted this morning. Things haven't gone as I planned. If you saw the intro video to kind of this series of tire reviews, the lake is pretty high. We're about 8.5 feet high on the lake. Normally the water is down where these plants are. They're not underwater, so a significant portion of our course is underwater. We are able to kind of get around and get most of our obstacles, especially our harder obstacles, in. But it's kind of thrown me for a loop, and I don't know. I'm a little distracted, so I apologize if that comes through in my reviews. I will try to make it not. Ooh, a little bit heavy on the throttle there. So on the side hill, would I say Land Rocks? Because Rock Beasts? How about we call them Land Beasts? Yeah, Land Beasts. So far the Land Beasts are doing pretty well on the side hill. Not a terrible amount of side slide. There was initially coming onto the obstacle, but when we come on, we have a pretty big divot there that can kind of sometimes catch us off guard. And if I'm honest, I'm a little bit surprised. These tires do not feel that good. They're just a very rubber feeling compound. Ooh. Coming off this obstacle can be a little difficult. There we go. They don't feel sticky. They don't feel overly soft. They're just kind of a rubber feeling compound, but at least on the side hill, doing pretty well there. I am going to leave the camera on for the majority of this first review. I might turn it off and on a couple times when moving between obstacles, but I kind of want you to see the differences in the course versus what it usually is. And you will have to forgive me. I'm using the chest mount. It's hard to see the camera and walk and do everything at the same time, so I will try to keep things in frame as well as I can. So normally we come down this way and we go way down here. And that is where we hit our second obstacle, but that second obstacle will be underwater pretty much. It'll definitely be underwater this whole weekend. So that obstacle is only, I mean, it's right at the water line when the lake is at normal level. So when it's high, that obstacle is underwater. And then our third obstacle is also completely underwater. And our fourth is just at the water line. So we're going to have to take a different line onto our fourth obstacle. But that's kind of where we're going to pick up. So this this area that we're driving now is not an area that we normally drive. There's not anything too challenging here, I don't believe. But we'll kind of see how things go. And maybe I'll be able to pick up an obstacle here. But fortunately, our obstacles that are underwater, they're not any of our harder obstacles, really. And so I think we'll be able to survive. So right here, this is normally obstacle number 4. So I'm hoping that this pathway right here is a valid way to get down there. Because if it is, this path actually tests. Ugh. Okay. Let me reset. All right. I don't know how well that path is going to serve us. We'll try it again. I don't know if it'll become an obstacle or not. So normally we are standing down over here. Now we are kind of behind the obstacle. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a wet pull-up. So I'm going to drive through the water right here. And we'll turn. Oh, this means I'm going to have to dry out foams all week. Oh, well. There we go. Well, if I can get the angle. Yeah, this might not work. I can't really get the right angle. Oh, shit. Now I'm getting too far down. Oh. Okay. All right. We're not going to do that way. How valid is a pull-up right over here? So we're not going to do that way, and I don't think I want to do... You know, I've talked about this before. I really don't like driving in the water. I really don't. I don't like drying out foams. Okay, I think I can do a pull-up here, but I'm going to need to move that rock out of the way that the rear tire is on. All right. I think this will be valid. Land beasts, very wet right now. Definitely struggling to get up here. I've never taken this line before, so I don't have a baseline to go off of. But this line seems like something that tires should be able to do. So normally this obstacle, what the purpose of it is testing rear tire lug and the ability to hook a rock. And we have that same test right here with this rear tire on this rock. We need it to hook lug there. So I believe that this will be valid testing. This could be a new line onto this obstacle every time, if I'm being honest. But the land beasts are probably not the right tire to kind of set this precedence on, because I cannot tell right now if this is poor tire performance or if this obstacle is just more difficult than it looks. If it's going to be too difficult for this rig, remember, Tire Rack is a mostly RTR truck. And we're dealing with a lot of unknowns. Amazon quality tire, different way to come onto the obstacle. The tires are wet, the ground is kind of wet. Okay. Let's see, can we come on? Oh, I know, sometimes we come on this corner. Oh, no. No, oh, shit. Okay. I don't want to play around on this obstacle like this. Nope. All right, so here's the thing, guys. I don't really just want to drench the rig all day long. Let's come up with a bypass line. All right, we're going to see if this line is valid. And then we'll have to figure out how we're going to drive to this line. Like, get to it. All right, I think this line will be valid. We're still testing the same thing, just kind of a different obstacle. And the land beasts right now having a hard time hooking that rear lug. They're not overly loaded up, but we are very wet. And we are not finding traction. I do believe that this obstacle should be doable. There we go. There we go. Continue to pull up. Ooh. Okay, this part should be pretty easy. Now, to be fair, we're very wet. I'm not going to get any other tires this wet. But I can tell you from just my experience with Tire Rack and tires in general, this line right here should not be a big deal. And Landby's struggling hard. Not a lot of forward drive, at least not when wet. Let's see if we can just take... There we go. Lots of struggles. Lots and lots and lots of struggles. I do think that a lot of that was the tire. I do think some of that was due to the fact that it's wet, but I think we're lacking a lot of forward drive in this tire. And this is all the joy of crawling in an uncontrolled environment, especially at a lake where our course can be heavily impacted by rainfall and kind of just nature in general. Kind of just driving along, searching for our next obstacle. Oh, this obstacle number 5 is underwater too. So we can get to number 6. So we'll pick things back up at 6. All right, getting to obstacle 6 was actually a little bit of an ordeal. And I found a good obstacle to add. And honestly, one that there's a possibility I'll add it to the course permanently. Getting rear axle hung up quite a bit with the shorter tire, loss of some ground clearance. And I am basically, my heels are at the water line, so a little closer than I normally am. All right, so coming up, this is obstacle 6, one of our normal obstacles. And let's see if the supers are able to pull up on here with any sort of consistency. Tires starting to dry out quite a bit. Rears are definitely not loaded. Driver rear is a little bit, but not bad. Just dirty. Those rear tires are definitely not able to push us up and over, meaning coming onto this obstacle is difficult and somewhat unpredictable. We completely lose any sort of controllability once the rear tires start pushing up on the obstacle. Man, it's humid. Ugh. It's not that hot. It's only about 80 degrees, but the humidity is like 93%. Okay, here we go. Come on. Oh, sliding back. If I can hook that crevice with the driver's or the passenger side front, but we are not able to. even with these crawler innovations, part of the problem is the tire is just, it's a pretty thick carcass, and it's just not conforming a lot to the corners of these rocks. Not getting a lot of collapse on the tire at all, unless the full weight of the rig is pressed down on them. And that's definitely given us some struggles on these obstacles that require the lug to be able to hook the edge of that rock. But this is characteristic of kind of a you know, just normal rubber compound tire. It's a very thick carcass. And we see this a lot with your cheaper tires. I don't know that the, what do we call them, land beasts? Land beasts are going to do this. Big butterfly flying around there. Okay. Try one more line. I wish I could stand further back. I know some of this is off camera, but I am, maybe I'll just come over here. Not the most optimal angle, but at least you can see the rig. Ooh, definitely not the most optimal angle for me driving. Yeah, just not a lot of forward drive. So far, the Land Beast, ooh, bump is horrible. Very unpredictable. Just a hard rubber carcass. It is nice sometimes to drive a tire like this because sometimes with some of our tires, you know, these obstacles don't look that difficult, and none of the obstacles here are extremely difficult. But on some of the videos with some of these tires, it looks like, you know, they're very easy. So this is kind of, if nothing else, it shows you why your tires matter. Why a tire is not just a tire. Compound matters, lug design matters, and yeah, girls, even size matters. Okay, we're not going to get up there, but we are going to cheat it because I want to test the rest of this obstacle. Okay, so we set the truck up on the obstacle, and we see right here, can we hook the rear tire on that lip? We don't have a lot of room on driver's side to play with because the front of the truck will drive off the rock. And so what we're dependent on is that passenger rear tire being able to hook this ledge and give us what we need. And so far it's not. With the super slow, we might have to go to wheel speed, but the problem here is you can't use too much wheel speed because you will go off the edge of that rock. Okay, ooh, almost found the line. I can hear those lugs popping. I'm not sure if you can hear it on camera, especially since I won't quit talking. All right, whew, able to do it, but oh, okay. So the cheater line onto here is to come over here. Oh, it can't even do that. We slide sideways. Slide sideways. Okay. All right. Well, almost. There we go. Well, technically able to do that part, but that wasn't easy. All right, now our first of the descent obstacles, and man, I cannot see my screen at all. The sun to my back washing out my screen. I think we're on center here. As you know, we're looking for the right amount of slip and the right amount of grip to gently set that front end down. We do expect a nosedive on the dismount, but we want it to be a slow, controlled nosedive. There we go. Ooh. Come on. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good. Ooh. Again, right here on the edge of the water line. It'd be nice if the water level would just go down a foot. Give me a little bit more room to stand. All right, now we're looking for throttle modulation. And we want the tires to grip enough here to allow us just to slowly walk down here. And there we go. Coming up to probably our hardest obstacle of the day, of the course. I think it might be a challenge even to get the land beasts onto the obstacle. I'm going to clear out some of this brush right there. Definitely with all the rain, there's a lot more growth on the course. It just likes to get wrapped up in axles, and yeah, we're going to struggle even getting up. This is not the course changing. This is all tire right here, giving us difficulty. So as you can see, so right now, I can stand where you can see the truck. We are hung on center pumpkin, and there's not enough grip in these tires to pull us off a simple pumpkin hang up. This rock is what we're trying to push over, and we can't do it. There we go. All right, now the actual obstacle. And here, again, really not even able to pull up on it. Definitely this will be a wheel speed tire. But the thing about the wheel speed on this tire is I don't know that we're predictable enough to get the right bump. Lots of traction hop. We're going to try the bump. Ooh, okay, that bumped pretty straight. That wasn't bad. Try it again. A little more throttle, a little more, I'll stay in throttle a little longer. Oop. Need to bump it a little more. Okay. Ooh. Able to bump on pretty straight. That was a good controllable bump. Now we're up on there. We have the edge of the carcass hooked. Very little side lug to work with. With the shorter height tire, it's kind of hard to not hang the axle tube on the rock. And the side carcass, right now we're testing basically rubber compounds, and we don't have it. Now, to be fair, the front tire is in the most difficult part of this rock. There's a divot there on the side where sometimes you can be a struggle to pull up and over, but there we go. Come on. Yeah, if we, I lost that tire, that driver or that passenger side front tire has to have the exact right hook to be able to get this guy up here. So it can do it. But most tires are able to either rely on side lug or compound. And here we're relying a lot on having the exact right hook on that passenger side front. All right, let me rear tire is not helping at all. This might be the first tire that like almost gets it and can't get it. Just keep sliding further down. If you lose that exact hook, it slips back. And maintaining that exact hook is difficult because all of the work being done is by that driver's side front tire. The rear are not doing anything, I don't believe, or sorry, passenger side front. The rear tires are not doing anything. I don't believe the driver's side front is doing anything. We're relying 100% on that passenger side front tire. Yeah, there's the slide. Well, all right, that's definitely a failure. I can't give a tire a pass. That I think if I sat there long enough on it and went back and forth, I would eventually get it. But there's no consistency there. Our next obstacle, the entry is right at the water line. See if we're able to enter onto the obstacle. Might have to do a 16-point turn here. Oop. This is the diff hang test. Okay. So diff hang up right now. And we want the front tires to pull us off. Ooh, this is bad. Let's take the entry one more time. I'm gonna kind of go high and then try to drop it back down. See, ooh, shit. All right, well, I mean, I think this tire failed the diff hang up. I think we know it will from what we've seen on other parts of the course. Man, I just don't love being in the water. Tire rack's gonna need a whole tear down after this weekend. So our tires are wet once again. A little bit dirty. Again, they're not loaded up, they are just dirty. I think we're gonna have a fat chance getting here. I bet we don't even get on. Can we even get on the entrance? I don't know if we'll even get on the entrance, much less on the obstacle. Steering's very poor. Forward drive very poor, grip very poor. Side hilling not bad. I would also say this tire definitely doesn't like being wet. And I'm going to try to keep that in mind when we talk about this tire here in a few minutes, because I don't intend on getting every tire that I'm testing this weekend wet. That's why I wish the lake was like, hopefully they leave the dam open, and by later in the day and by tomorrow, if I can get a foot extra of space between the water line and the base of some of these obstacles, it would give me more room to work with, and it'd be awesome. Okay. So never have I seen a tire struggle that much on the entrance. So are we going to get on through the obstacle? I do not believe so. Hearing some squeak from the drivetrain. Luckily I have some oil with me to grease those drive shafts. We are running steel incision drive shafts, and they get wet and then they just squeak. Alright, this is a waste of time. There's no way that if we can't even get onto the entrance, there's no way that it's actually going to do the obstacle. And now we come up to our trail section, where, if anything, if it's made to do anything, it would be trails. Again, oops, there's some rocks there. unable to pull over very simple diff hangups, even slider hangups we struggle with. Another diff hangup. Very poor performance. Ooh, I don't know if that shows up on camera. There's a neat looking web there. Lots of gnats caught in it. Another diff hangup. So we are getting more diff hangups because it's a shorter tire, but this is not the shortest tire that we've tested on Tire Rack. Actually, the last time I was out here, I did the XOR Rock Beast, which is exactly the same size and didn't have any of these problems. The issue is none of the hangups that we're getting are that bad, but as soon as we get the slightest hangup, forward momentum completely stops. We just don't have grip in this tire at all. We don't have conformity in this tire. That's definitely not a foam issue. I mean, at this point, so the foams that this tire comes with are very stiff couch cushion foams. I'm running soft medium crawler innovation foams in here. I have never run a tire with no foams. I've heard of people doing it. Like, I might try that. Literally, I have never once. The worst tires that I've tested, I've never seen them have an issue. Well, where are we at? This rock right here, I can't make it past. Sliders hung up. Tires, all four on the ground. Terrible. It's terrible. Again, all four tires on the ground, just trying to turn and drive up a rock. A smooth rock, but not a steep incline, not an extremely slick rock, just a rock. But rocks appear to be the Achilles heel of the Super BRKRC that we have dubbed the Land Beast. A beast it is not. Driving on land, it kind of does. Whoop. Of course that would happen. Okay, roll. Yep. Let's get a good roll. One more time. Oop. What? Okay. You know what? This tire is a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time. Oh, look, more rocks. Don't drive up them. Ooh, about fell. How are we going to do on the hill climb? It is a loose gravel hill climb, but with all the rain, the gravel is pretty well packed in. I was able to walk up this earlier without even sliding, which is unusual. And of course, as soon as we get to the steeper part, we are now stuck. Oh, big shock. What a shit tire. Wow. Oh, okay. So how about those tires? Yeah, they're not good, guys. I think they're $20 or $25 a set, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember much about them. I'll post the link to them in the description below. But, I mean, they're not worth any set of dollars. I mean, if somebody gives you these for free, which These will probably be in a giveaway because I don't want to just throw them away. So if any of you want them for whatever reason, I'll give them to you. They're not good on the rocks. They're not good on the trails. They're not good on loose surface. They're not good on solid surface. They're not good on inclines. They're not good on really anything other than the side hill. They did well on the side hill, which is weird. But I don't know. I don't have anything good to say. Super BRKRC, Land Beast. Yep, that's a fail. Till next time, everyone. Have a good one.